Back in 1921, the band director at the time, Paul Spots Emmerich, wanted something to make the Purdue Marching Band really stand out.
He was definitely a dreamer because we already had the first formation ever with the block P. So we were already in the marching band history books, but he wanted to go more. He wanted a drum that was larger than the man playing it.
So he got some people together and they came up with this. The Liddy Corporation in Elkhart, Indiana, helped him make this drum, and the drum head was actually too large. They were not able to make them out of the synthetic material that they had at the time, so they had to get steers from Argentina.
One of the biggest limiting factors back then was drum heads were naturally made from animal hides. So the size of the drum was not limited by how big you could make the shell, but by how big of a steer you could find to make the drum heads.
Ended up producing what you see behind me right now.
And that is how they came up with the drum.
It was kind of a rivalry between Purdue and the University of Texas, because the University of Texas had their own big drum, Big Bertha. And there was this big debate that went back and forth about which one was bigger. And in 1961, there was the Kappa Kappa Psi Convention down in Wichita, Kansas, and both schools pledged to bring their drums with them.
So they set up a convention where we were going to come and meet, and Guinness Book of World Records was there, but we were the only ones who showed up. So by default, we became the world's largest bass drum, and we maintain that we are bigger than theirs.
So by default, we won that title, and we've been very proud of it ever since.
By the summer of 2013, Purdue's big bass drum had taken such a massive beating since its last overhaul in the 1970s that Purdue bands thought it was time to give the world's largest drum a much-needed facelift.
The drum has been several years since it was last remastered, and this year, over the summer, Mike Sherwood, who works for the ME department, completely redid all the hardware. He made brand new pieces for a lot of it, or fixed up some of the old ones. And that was a huge deal for us.
It didn't really sound like a drum to me. And it sounded like a big bang when you hit it. And there was this terrible rattling from the old loose hardware. Some of the lugs that are used to actually tighten the drum, because we put this drum in tune before every game and make sure it sounds right. Some of those lugs weren't even there, they were missing. And so we couldn't, efficiently tune this. It was kind of as good as we could get it.
Mike Sherwood was approached by Pamela Nave, who was in charge of the drum, and she asked him if there was any way they could make the hardware on the drum up to date, because it would rattle when you ran. There was no way we could tune it. So he said that he would do it, and he said that he would do it for free. All he asked was that she cover the cost of the materials to be used.
What was interesting was they actually asked me to do the job. And it started out being, can you repair these parts and make them work? And initially I said, yeah, well, that shouldn't be a problem. It's a simple job. After close evaluation, we realized that we were going to have to actually remake some of the parts. And so over the summer, over about a 2-month period, I ended up remaking about half the components for the drum hardware. You had the brackets that actually had the turnbuckle rods that actually tightened up the drum heads. They were worn out, the threads were stripped, and the holes that actually held the cross rods were so oblong and worn out that the rods would actually rattle when they hit the drum.
What Mike did is he kind of used new techniques to refurbish an old drum. And he actually machine milled all of these parts out of solid hunks of stainless steel. And it's just fantastic how it all came together.
It would take us hours to try to even get close to sounding like a drum. And now, spend 10 minutes of our really focused going at it, we can get it sounding good.
When you hit this drum now, there's not a bit of rattling anymore. It's tight, it's well in tune, and it was just so surreal the first time I heard this drum get hit after we'd gotten it, the lugs put back on it and the tension rods redone, the brackets redone. It was so great.
The paint was kind of chipping. It had been rained on several times. We do tricks off of it where we're climbing on the drum, jumping off, stuff like that. So the paint was chipped, was kind of faded.
We had it repainted, and Sherwin-Williams donated the paint. And then Mike also came up with the idea to use stickers instead of painting the diamonds on. That way, if anything happened to them, take them off, put new ones back on. And those are donated by Madman Creatives, and they work really well.
Heritage Paint Company went ahead and painted it for us, and it took 3 coats of paint to get it looking the way it does right now. And I think it looks really good.
I think it looks fantastic, personally.
It was basically a very nice honor to be able to work on this project.
I love the physicality, the sheer power you've got to put into it. You know, it's a lot of fun getting out there and really throwing this huge drum around.
Got to meet the crew, which is a great bunch of people. It's like working with your best friends. They've all got a great personality. They're all upbeat, very friendly, so it's pretty neat.
Being on a drum crew was the best decision I absolutely made in my life. It's really amazing to be a part of, you know, this tradition that's been around Purdue for 90+ years, and it's the oldest icon.